I could also talk about the Allagash abduction, which, again, I talked about not too long ago. And there are plenty of cases out there that I could discuss, but I thought, for sake of covering close encounters of the fourth kind, I would go straight with the standard bearer, the one that sort of brought it into the modern day lexicon. And that would be talking about Whitley Strieber's abduction and his entire story within that. So that's how we're going to cover Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind on this episode of To Boldly Pod. Now, certainly that image is recognizable to everybody, even if they're not into UFOs and aliens. Everybody knows the image that they're looking at on the screen because, quite frankly, it has joined the global lexicon to represent what an alien would look like. And going beyond that, pretty much every single one of us has access to this image on our phones by way of an emoji. So just open up your keyboard and look through the emojis, and there it is. You have a gray alien. Well, the image of the gray alien is synonymous with close encounters of the fourth kind because most, not all, people that claim to be abducted by aliens are taken by what is commonly referred to as a gray alien. And even though it's not the first time that it happened, and there's one video that I was going to use that I decided not to use it because they were asserting that alien abduction became popularized in the 1980s with the Whitley Strieber case. And it sort of did blow up into a global sensation as far as recognizable phenomenon because of the Whitley Strieber case that we're going to talk about. But people had known about aliens allegedly taking human beings as far back as 1961 with the Betty and Barney Hill case, 1975 with the Travis Walton abduction, and the Pascagoula event, the Allagash event. The Whitley Strieber abduction wasn't the very first one. Like, that video made it sound like that was the linchpin of alien abduction or close encounters of the fourth kind. But I think it's a perfect case to sort of talk about what close encounters of the fourth kind is on this episode.
Certainly one of the most publicized and famous cases belongs to author Whitley Strieber.
That's 100% accurate. Back in the 80s and 90s, when you talked about alien abduction, the Whitley Strieber case inevitably was the first one everyone talked about.
Whose cabin in upstate New York was, and still remains, the setting for one of the most bizarre cases in the files of the unknown.
Now, that's also true because I have another clip with Whitley Strieber giving a podcast interview where he talks a lot about his abduction case. And if you've been somebody that has read Communion, or maybe you've just seen the movie, you know how different his story seems to be than a lot of alien abductees.
Strieber's encounters with what he calls the visitors first came to the public's attention in the best-selling book Communion, and later its follow-up, Transformation. Both book jackets feature that now familiar face.
That now iconic image of an alien. And before we get into his interview that he gave, I just want to say for any skeptics out there, a lot of people debunk or take issue with Whitley Strieber's assertion of being an abductee because he was a writer, a professional writer, a person who wrote novels and movies and things of that nature. He was a creator.